Hi guys! Today I'm solving a problem a lot of people have had with the upper 30 series cards from Nvidia. Basically, the thermal pads they installed from the factory are super cheap, and the VRAM over here will thermal throttle at 105C, even though the die readout will be in the mid 60s to 70s range. Obviously I can't just leave it like this with the potential to fry itself, so I'll be installing these GP Ultimate and GP Extreme pads to fix the issue. From what I understand, one of these performs better than the other, but on one side of the card has been found to melt, which means if this card's taken apart again down the road for cleaning or converting to liquid cooling, the pads can actually stick to electrical components and pull them out, damaging the card. I'll also be upgrading the thermal paste to this Thermaltake solution. I don't know much about it, but the internet suggested it, so here we are. Now, if it seems like I don't know what I'm doing at any point, that's because I absolutely don't. I just built my first PC 2 months ago, and it's even gratuitous to say that since my brother did most of the work. Shout out to Layman. There are more professional videos done by actual experts like Steve at Gamers Nexus or Jay's 2 Cents. I'd highly encourage that you check them out if you haven't already. Everything I think I'll need for this is laid out in my workspace here. I have the 3090 on a mat with rubbery texture, so I hopefully don't run the risk of static shock since I don't have an anti-static band. There's tape for removing these magnetic tabs, and a bit set I grabbed from my brother's room without asking. Layman, you were at work and I couldn't get a hold of you. You should definitely make tools I need easier to find though, because I'm having to use a socket from my own set as a screwdriver because I couldn't find the one for this. I also have a Leatherman here that I doubt I'll need, and in true fashion I can't find my tweezers, so if I need some I'll probably have to stop to go look for them. Now, like I said a moment ago, I'll be using this masking tape to pull these magnetic tabs off. It's got some dust on it from sitting in my garage, but I wiped as much of it off as I could, and I'll only be using this for this one cosmetic piece, so it should be fine. I'm going to use 2 long strips and keep them organized by laying them out as if I'd pulled a full panel off and laid it on its back, although I doubt it matters where they go. Here we have one. I'm going to press down on those, pull them straight off, and that will go up top, like I said, as if this was a full panel. And then I'll do the same thing for the bottom. And that's done. Now I'll just pry this centerpiece off. There's a thin slot on the side here that just about anything thin can pry onto to gently lift it up, and then the whole piece just comes straight off. So this is the part where I will actually use my Leatherman. I'm going to use just the little electronics bit. So I have my flat-headed eyeglasses bit on my Leatherman here, and I'm just going to lift straight up on that, and it comes straight off. And now you can see the slot here, hopefully. I don't know whether the camera's going to focus well enough, but it's just right there. Now, these 4 screws come off with a T5 Torx bit. I have one here mounted to a 5/32 socket, but you'll probably have an actual screwdriver since you did this right and had the proper tools, right? So I am going to pull that one off. I am going to use another piece of tape to hold these so I don't lose them, because I don't know what I did with all my magnets. So, just want to take your time and be very careful with it. And then these other 4 are Phillips. Thank goodness I have my Leatherman, right? And I'm going to put these on another piece of tape, but leave them right next to the first ones. literally holding a set of pliers and didn't think to use them. Now, at this point, I'm going to do something I should have been doing the whole time and move all the parts I'm disassembling in the timeline order that I took them out. That way, when I disassemble, it'll just be moved from one side to the other and a lot less thinking. Now, for anybody else using a Leatherman for this, which isn't necessarily recommended, I mean, I have the whole bit set here, I just had this available. You may have noticed I have this out. I didn't end up using the full-size bit. The glasses bit was a bit small, but it did work. So that was just a matter of convenience. That way I had pliers and the screwdriver in my hand at the same time. Next, we will have to take out the SLI bridge cover here, which just pulls out. It's no big deal. It's got that little pull tab right there. You can set that with those. Now, this whole cover should just lift off. Okay. So what was happening there that was making it more difficult was I was accidentally grabbing this instead of just the lip here. So when you go to pull from the bottom like I was, it kind of pulls up at the edge of the die instead of on this. Now you can see the thermal pads on this side that will be replaced. I've never done this before, but these don't look quite like the fibery pads I've seen on videos of this being done. They do seem pretty chalky. I don't necessarily have the experience to say whether that's what they are or not, but the problem does clearly exist and we're this far, so I'm gonna finish this off as if these are the stock pads from NVIDIA. There are 3 connectors that need to be taken off at this point, here, here, and here. After pulling those out, we have this spring tensioner that uses 4 T6 Torx screws and marks the point where I can use my own tools finally, thanks to my Benchmade bit kit, not sponsored, and my Dottie screwdriver, also not sponsored. It's probably hard to see in the video here. There is this little black piece, acts as a lever. If you push it forward, it kind of ejects the ribbon cable, and then you can just pull it the rest of the way out of the way. That'll work for that, and also this one. Oh, okay, so that silver plastic piece just pulls straight back. There we go. So that was sketchy at best, but it did work. All I did was used this tiny glasses screwdriver to pry up from the bottom here, which may have put a little bit of force on one of the wires, but also this just goes to the LEDs on the side of the card. So if those didn't work, it'd suck, but it wouldn't be the end of the world. And now I should be able to remove this spring tensioner. You want to keep one finger on the edge of the spring, just so when the screw comes all the way out, it doesn't just launch it across the room. Because as cool as that would look for 2 seconds, wouldn't be fun having to go find the screw. I can put it on some tape. See how that sprung up? Yeah, that's what we're trying to avoid. And then I will just set this next to the screws that were with it, and all these little plastic gaskets. Now with the spring tensioner off, there is one more screw right here connecting the I/O plate. So that is actually a T8, which I also have thanks to my Benchmade kit. Still not sponsored. Always willing to change that though. That will go on its own piece of tape just to mark it as separate. Now I have to turn this up on its side. There are 6 screws on here that I need to take off to remove this plate, so I can remove the actual GPU from everything else. And these are still T8. Didn't mean to do that. Get some more tape. And now, with it back in its original orientation like I had it, this should just lift right off. Now, these thermal pads, I could be wrong. They don't necessarily look like the ones from NVIDIA that I've seen. So I'm almost concerned that somebody already did this swap out and didn't have any benefit from it, but they also look different from what I've got here. So at any rate, maybe these are just better. Maybe these were done incorrectly. I'm just gonna continue with the process and see what happens. I do want to make note at this point that up to here, I have been using Steve from Gamers Nexus. He did a video tearing this down. That has worked really well up to this point. After this point, I'm going to have to switch videos and go to something specific to changing these pads out, because he doesn't do that in the video I am referencing. I will post a link to it in the description below, but yeah, up to this point, that has worked great. Now for cleaning all this up, I am going to use probably the scraper from this thermal paste. This is actually a plastic applicator, but it should work for kind of scraping some of the residue off of this. I'll also have some isopropyl alcohol. I don't know if there's a percentage that works better than others, but I have 91%, so that should be fine. And then I have a microfiber. I've seen online that you should use something like coffee filters or something if you don't have microfiber, but this is what I have. I spent all the money on the GPU and don't have the money to get the stuff to do this properly. So I'm just going to peel this off while keeping track of where it comes off from. I'm just going to lay it out on the side in case I need any of it for some reason. I doubt I will, but it can't hurt to know for sure that I have what I need. Yeah, this here's really crumbly. I'm hoping that that's the problem. Like maybe it's just old and that's why it's kind of crumbling, falling apart. Damn it. Okay, that is all pulled off. Now I will be going over it with the alcohol. I didn't even need the scraper. Look at that. Now, at this point, I am watching UFD Tech's video on this, doing the thermal pads specifically. I am hoping, because if you look at the layout of these here, you can see there's the 2 strips on the sides and everything. In his video, he has strips here, here, and 1 here. So my hope is that the wrong size pads were used when doing this, because these do look like aftermarket pads. He describes the original from NVIDIA as looking almost like gauze, and these are definitely not. Let's see, I can't use this anyway. These are definitely not gauzy, the way I would call it. But so my hope is that that was just putting too much space in between things for it to conduct its heat properly. So I'm going to use extremes for this side, is what he said, and then ultimates for the other side. Like I said before, one of them, I don't remember which, melts a little bit under extreme heat. So these go, like I said, here, here, and here, and then we'll do the ones on the other side. So I have the video open. That's what I'm looking at. So like I said, it looks like top, sides, and this bottom piece right here. So just the width of the die itself, it looks like. And then just fill this gap. Just like that. So I should be able to just apply it now. Reviewing the video, he has the writing up. So I don't know whether that matters, but we're gonna do it that way. So when looking at these next to what's next to me that I took out, it looks like it is possibly just the same type of thermal pads, but that leaves me wondering whether having them on both sides was just didn't fit correctly, or what the deal was there. I'm going to really, really hope that this works out. Okay, reviewed the video. Looks like that's applied correctly. So I will peel this off however I can. And for care of doing this exactly as right as I possibly can, I'm going to give the die one last good wipe down. That makes it time for thermal paste. Like I said, I have this Thermalright TFX. I thought it was Thermaltake, it's Thermalright. According to the instructions, you're supposed to just place a couple dots. Now I know I've seen Gamers Nexus's video where they test out different ways of placing this and said it really didn't matter because when it squishes and doesn't really have an issue after that. I am going to spread this out because I would rather use too much than too little when it's the price difference between a $10 bottle of this, or a $10 syringe of this, and this is not spreading well.
Henderson, what the hell are you doing?
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Oh, fuck. I can't believe you've done this.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
Well, if it looks like it was my first time ever applying thermal paste, that's cause it is. So we're gonna call that good, because way too much will work where way too little won't. And I'm not about to try reapplying it when I know there's definitely way too much. Like I said, a $10 bottle of thermal paste is a loss I am willing to take. Looks like it's time to reattach the I/O plate. I have to have this hanging off the edge. These 6 screws are back on the side. I am going to reattach the top one here. Like I said, it's on its own piece of tape. I set myself up so I have all of this ordered. I just have to start from here and reassemble this way. Put this screw right back here. Reattach this. Oh, that goes on much easier than it comes off. And then this is the map of what it's supposed to look like when it's done. So yeah, I'm guessing there was just incorrectly placed thermal pads. I'm hoping that's the case, but we'll see. That should cover you. For consistency's sake, I'm going to flip this one over because I had all the other ones hard side down. I just read online that it doesn't really matter which direction they go, but it's my project and I'm doing it my way. So just to reference again, that is the layout he used, and I'm pretty sure last time I watched this, I watched his benchmark for it too. So now we just reinstall everything in the reverse order that we took it out. So we have the leaf spring here with all of its spacers. Camera died again. Okay, so I'm just going to reassemble this now. It's, like I said earlier, the reverse of how I assembled it. So I've got this piece of tape here that's next. SLI bridge back in. It was the side with the notch up. Well, the bridge cover, I guess, not the bridge itself, because I don't have one. And then, like I said, I just took these out as if I had done a full panel. Thank goodness for organization of my workspace, right? Theoretically, that should be it. Time to clean this up and see if I did it correctly or not.
The best stress test for the VRAM I could come up with was to mine on the GPU, so I set this up for half an hour with GPU-Z monitoring it and kept a close eye on it. It seemed to stabilize between 82 and 86C in that time, but I wanted long-term results, so when my brother said he had a show he wanted me to check out, I left it running and checked in between episodes. After it stayed stable through the entirety of Arcane, because of course I binge-watched the entire series, it was a good show, I was convinced. The final test was using it to keep my room warm while I slept, which it did flawlessly without going over 50C on the main GPU and 86 on the memory. I'd call that a success. I mean, I'm sitting here the next morning, it's still mining actively, and we're sitting, I think it just popped down to 80 for a second there, and 47.3 up top. So I'm calling that a success. This also works as a test of whether the Height Y60 case will smother the GPU. There's been a lot of concern with the vertical mounting system and how close it places the card to the glass on the front, but as we can see, the Founders Edition card at least isn't affected by this. I actually only have the 3 fans that Height includes with the case right now. That's impressive. I don't have a 3-slot card to test out though, and those are the ones I suspect would have an issue. As I said in the beginning of this video, I'm not a professional and there are definitely more experienced people to get this information from. I make videos like this to show the process I went through and the experience I had as somebody doing it for the first time. So you can see that if somebody who's never even applied thermal paste before can do it, you absolutely can too. Give the project the care and attention it deserves, and most of the times things will be okay. Sometimes things break though. Can't help that. Thanks for watching. Let me know if this helped you at all.